people look out from a prison cell. One saw bars, and the other, stars. This is precisely what happens to those who live in poverty situations. It is like being trapped in a prison cell. The outlook is bleak, the future grim. Many of these people, from the time they are born, are caught up in a vicious cycle of indifferent parenting, deprivation of wholesome food, savage beatings, incest, rape, and an inability to take advantage of educational opportunities, and finally, to either drift into the most menial of jobs or to earn a living by hustling, stealing, or pushing drugs. If we are to break this cycle, someone, somehow, somewhere must intervene to improve the desperate situation in which poor people exist and to urge them to hope for a brighter future. In other words, they must be encouraged at the earliest possible age to look out of their prison cell, to see not the bars, but the stars, to dream the impossible dream. And that, in a nutshell, is what Servol is all about. Servol has a cadre of 50 trained women who work in disadvantaged areas of Trinidad and Tobago on a program called the Parent Outreach Program, in which parents are advised how important it is for pregnant women to eat a balanced diet instead of junk food to ensure that their child is born with the full complement of brain cells, encouraging them to be the first teachers of their children while cooking or cleaning, holding meetings of group or parents to discuss alternative ways to discipline children without physical punishment. The process of reaching for the stars is continued by the Servol Early Childhood Program in the 165 preschools staffed by trained teachers so that the children are handed over to primary schools alert, bright-eyed and confident. Servol reaches out to the slow learners through its Junior Life Center program, which is activity-based and is aimed at reviving the interest and curiosity of children which have become dormant through indifferent teaching in a primary school. The mentally challenged children are catered for in the Servol Special School, which focuses on Down's syndrome and autistic children. Eventually, the children arrive at adolescence with all its attendant problems, and over 5,000 of these enroll in the Servol Adolescent Program. Years of experience has shown Servol that many of these adolescents are discouraged, hostile, and negative in their view of life. That is why, before exposing them to any form of skill training, Servol offers them a 3-month adolescent development program. In this course, more than any other, there's urgent need to break the bars of their mental prison cell and to give them a glimpse of the starlight which beckons them. The ADP, as it is affectionately called by the trainees, is a psychosocial integrated program which has been developed over 12 years of experimentation. It comprises courses in self-awareness, which allows the trainees to understand who they are and especially the role the subconscious plays in their life. Rap sessions in which they are encouraged to speak out, management of anger and other feelings, conflict resolution, public speaking, which helps them to overcome their fear of facing an audience, drama, health education, spirituality, and most importantly, training in parenting skills to break the cycle of indifferent and unenlightened parenting, which has been largely responsible for their mental prison in which they have been incarcerated. The effect of this ADP program is, to put it mildly, dramatic. Term after term, the Servol instructors are privileged to witness the miracle of human transformation in every group of trainees. They come into the program hostile, suspicious, negative. They emerge from it confident, articulate, with a sound understanding of their sexuality, with burnished self-esteem, and with a clear understanding of what true love is all about. From the ADP, the trainees proceed to follow the skill of their choice, which they select from the following vocational courses offered by Servol: welding, childcare, plumbing, nursing assistance, electronics, sewing and tailoring, catering, air conditioning, electrical installation, masonry, and hospitality. After a year's training, they are placed with companies and businesses for 3 months to give them a concrete idea of what the workplace is like. At the end of this, they are carefully evaluated by their employer and returned to the Servol Life Center to prepare for their practical exam, which is conducted by the National Examination Council. They graduate and leave Servol to look for a job. A significant number of employers give preference to Servol graduates, as in most cases, they find them to be more disciplined, punctual, honest, and hardworking than their contemporaries. As can be seen from the brief description of its programs, Servol intervenes in a meaningful way in the lives of children and adolescents through its programs. However, the view from the prison cell, while vastly improved, is still incomplete. Though the shutters have been removed to let in the light, the bars are still there, indicating there is no escape. The prisoners have been condemned to a life of toil as artisans in an age of rapid technical development. Servol was determined to find a way out of this impasse, to tear down the bars and to open up the world of advanced technology to its graduates. On March the 5th, 1995, after almost 2 years of thorough negotiations, the Inter-American Development Bank signed a grant agreement with Servol, pledging a total of $3.6 million to allow the organization to build, equip, and operate 3 high-tech centers, which would offer courses in computer literacy, computer repairs, digital electronics, and computer-controlled electronics as postgraduate courses to its trainees. In retrospect, it was a project that was beset by so many difficulties that most people deemed it a wild dream and a crazy project of an unrealistic group of naive do-gooders.
I joined Servol in 1974. I knew Father Prantin and Sister Ruth always come up with some harebrained scheme, but somehow they always managed to work. But I thought this time, they have really gone too far.
Why this pessimism at the idea of teaching computer literacy and advanced electronics to Servol graduates? Martin Pacheco, coordinator of the program, gives the reason.
We had to face the apparently insurmountable problem that close to 35% of the adolescents who entered the Servol program were functionally illiterate. We asked ourselves, how does one teach computer literacy to people who cannot read and cannot write?
The Servol response was infuriatingly simple. We have just got to find a way. And so the high-tech program was launched. Servol had no delusions as to the magnitude of the task it had set itself, and the first building block of the new program was to face the literacy problem head-on. One of Servol's most experienced instructors of the Adolescent Development Program, Karen Alban, was given the mission impossible.
When I was given the task of raising the literacy level of the high-tech students, I realized that I was going into uncharted waters. I soon realized too that to achieve this goal, I had to involve all the instructors who responded admirably. Then I had to sell the importance of literacy to the target group of trainees. And we accomplished this by incorporating the jargon of computer, mouse, hard drive, software, etc. into the exercise. I was fortunate to have been trained in the Alta method of teaching literacy, which uses local words and images. I also made it a point to encourage each center to build up its own library and to persuade the trainees to take home books to read. Then I had a brainwave. Why not make the whole thing a game by introducing the trainees to Scrabble? The idea spread like wildfire, and all during lunch and recreation, you'd find them playing Scrabble and even organizing inter-center competitions. In the space of a year, the improvement in literacy skills was miraculous. The result is that I've been appointed coordinator to an expanded literacy program right across Servol.
After 5 years, it is true to say that though there have been a number of failures in this innovative program, it has been an outstanding success. The main reason for this was the flexible approach which Servol adopted, an approach that was faithful to its oft-reiterated policy of attentive listening. In establishing its high-tech program, Servol began by building 3 large centers, one in North Trinidad, in the suburb of Barataria, a second in Central Trinidad in the bustling city of Chaguanas, and a third in South Trinidad in the La Romaine area. From the outset, similar programs of computer literacy and electronics were established in each center, but it soon became apparent that the needs of the majority of adolescents who attended the 3 centers were different. Whereas the majority who enrolled at Barataria showed an interest in computer literacy and computer repairs, those in Chaguanas focused more on electronics, while those in La Romaine were equally divided in their choice of skills. The consequence of all this is that there has been a certain amount of specialization in the 3 centers.
The computer literacy course is geared towards helping trainees become comfortable in a computerized world. Trainees at the end of this program will become proficient in word processing, database, and spreadsheet application, as well as have exposure to basic accounting and preparing a business plan. The Consumer Electronic course is designed to take students with little or no background in electronics to an electronics craftsman technician level. The course is divided into 3 parts. The first, basic electronics. The second, radio electronics. And the third, television electronics. Upon completion, the trainees become eligible to take the NEC craft level examination and are also eligible to pursue digital electronics to further their knowledge. Computer repairs provides trainees who are interested in computer technology a foundation to enter that industry. The course is divided into 2 parts: computer literacy, which is a prerequisite to enter computer repairs. Computer repairs deals with the fundamental aspects of the computer and how to repair it. Computer control electronics prepares trainees for opportunities in the manufacturing industry. The trainees are exposed to the basic use of electronic and computers in the manufacturing process. The course is divided into 3 terms. Term 1, dealing with basic electronics. Term 2, digital electronics. And Term 3, programmable logic control, PLC.
In Chaguanas, the program is heavily slanted towards electronics and has only 1 computer literacy class. The Assistant Executive Coordinator, Natalie Seeley, describes how they were able to link up their advanced program to the elementary courses offered by the Servol Regional Life Centers.
In Servol, trainees undergo a 9-month course of training in consumer electronics. This course teaches the service and maintenance of radios and televisions. What we have found is that trainees are faced with the real possibility of having to repair one of the more modern sets. This places the trainee in a very difficult, if not impossible situation. Since consumer products are becoming more and more user-friendly, it means that a lot more digital circuitry is being utilized in making them highly sophisticated. Without a comprehensive knowledge of this advanced technology, graduates of the analog consumer electronics program will be seriously handicapped when it comes to servicing these products. Digital technology will allow a trainee to understand how the volume control, or the channel selector button on a modern TV receiver works. They will also understand how remote-controlled infrared devices operate. Armed with this knowledge, trainees will also be able to design their own digital devices like remote-control radios, televisions, in addition to certain industrial circuits like conveyor belts, controllers, and traffic lights. Additionally, they will also be in an excellent position academically to be able to understand further advances and innovations that take place within this field. Since the digital electronics course carries Cambridge certification on successful completion, trainees secure jobs easily compared to those who do not have this advanced training. Also, in a number of cases, after completing their course, their level of confidence is so high that some of them even go on to higher levels of education.
The Laramine High Tech is the most developed of all the centers. What makes it special is that it is part of an integrated educational project which includes in the same compound an early childhood center, an ADP class, a training unit for caterers, as well as the high-tech center. The South Executive Coordinator, Mr. Henrik Hanumansingh, gives a brief description of the project.
When Servol first purchased a half-finished building to house the high-tech, it also acquired a large parcel of land on which the building was sited. This gave us the opportunity to establish a number of other facilities on the same compound, so that the community is offered educational opportunities for children from the earliest years, to prepare them for the world of work. The entire project is supervised by a community board of education, which ensures that a high standard of education is maintained.
However, the pièce de résistance of the Laramine Center was the establishment of what could be termed the most daring project on which Servol has embarked, the Advanced Skill Training Center. Ian Gomes explains.
Servol has always tried to tailor its training program to fit the existing needs of the job market. In this project, we went one step further. With tongue-in-cheek approaches were made to heavy industry in the oil and gas sector with this proposal. We are prepared to build a training center to your specification and so supply you with a ready source of employable young men and women. Finally, because we are doing this to help you, we expect you to come up with the funds to build and equip this center.
The person who was most sold on the project was Judy Rampasad, Job Training Officer of the Laramine Center, and she recalls the first approach she made to one of the largest conglomerates in the oil industry, Trinidad.
I remember how my knees shook when I finally obtained an interview with the chairman of Trinidad, Dr. Gordon Bartlett. Suddenly I realized how cheeky it was to approach these industrial giants and to tell them that Servol was really doing them a favor by setting up this center and that they were supposed to pay for it. Fortunately, Dr. Bartlett proved to be a man of vision, and he took to the idea that was eventually approved by his board, and we were off and running. I think if he had sent me packing, I probably would not have mustered up the courage to approach other companies like Petrotrin and Atlantic LNG.
Servol was fortunate to have as an ally in the shape of Mr. Carlo Arzi, operations specialist of the Inter-American Development Bank, who recognized that though this type of center was not on the original plan for the high-tech project, it was a logical extension of the computer and electronic courses which Servol had so effectively conducted, and he was prepared to extend the original high-tech grant to include it.
The Advanced Training Center was really a natural extension of the objectives of the program as such. So we were very enthusiastic to be able to support the creation and establishment of the center, because the higher level skills will also lead to higher level jobs within the growth sectors of the economy, which was the objective of the program at the onset. We found that a lot of the graduates from the high-tech centers were entering in clerical positions, and one of the objectives was to provide private businesses, energy sector, and growth centers of the economy with an inflow of potential candidates to fill those positions. We trust that the Advanced Training Center will be able to fill that role as well.
The Advanced Skill Training Building was by far the largest and most complex building ever undertaken by Servol and took almost a year to build. What was even more impressive was that apart from the pre-stressed concrete frame, everything else was done by the Servol Construction Company under the direction of Mr. John Millett, Head of Construction, and his able assistant Steve Daniel, using Servol instructors and their trainees for all subcontracts.
Well, this building belongs to Servol, right? And it is built by the trainees from the various centers, right? Right? We have the electrician, the plumber, and the masonry and carpentry, right?
The experience they will having from this project actually will carry them to can afford to hold on any position, in any construction field, and in whatever line they're in.
The Advanced Skill Training Program is offered to all Servol trainees who have graduated from the ADP and a computer literacy course at any of the 3 high-tech centers. The graduate can choose between machine shop skills, compressor mechanics, computer repairs, computer control electronics, and training in general and industrial maintenance. These are the skills which will enable graduates to access highly paid jobs in the heavy industry. However, despite Servol's emphasis on skill training, be it standard vocational skills, computer skills, electronics, and those offered in the Advanced Skill Project, the main focus of Servol continues to be the personal development of the individual trainee. That is why the Servol programs include 2 further courses. The first is the Enhancement Program and the other the Job Placement Program.
The High-Tech Enhancement Program is divided into 2 areas, personal and workplace related. The personal enhancement is a continuation of the ADP program and covers areas such as personal hygiene, goal setting, public speaking, interview process, and self-esteem, just to name a few. The workplace-related enhancements are business etiquette, financial planning, team building, effective communication, stress management, and much more. The goal of these seminars is to help the trainee become more productive and also have an easier transition from school to work.
Jared Darbro, Executive Coordinator North, explains how Servol rounds off the entire training program by job placement.
The last link in the training program consists of placing the trainees as apprentices to an employer for 2 to 3 months, during which they are carefully monitored and a written evaluation is forwarded to Servol by the employer at the end of the apprenticeship. This enables Servol to help them correct weaknesses, a process which will serve them well when they apply for a job. It is calculated to boost self-confidence and to enable them to make a favorable impression on the interviewer, which will tip the scales in their favor.
Let us leave the final word with Servol's Executive Director, Sister Ruth Montrachard, one of the principal people involved in the planning and coordination of the high-tech program.
I remember very clearly the feelings we had when we started this project. We were excited about it, but there was a feeling of apprehension. Servol was venturing into the area of high technology for the first time. Many of our students were school dropouts with literacy problems, and some people told us this was a mission impossible and it would never work. But we held our breath, crossed our fingers, said a prayer, and took the plunge. We will be eternally grateful to the Inter-American Development Bank for their generous support and for believing in the project when it was just a dream. We were fortunate to have Mr. Carlo Azzi as our desk officer, and it was a pleasure to deal with him because he understood our organization and was able to guide us so that we complied with the bank and the project ran smoothly. The high-tech program prompted us to take one of the most significant decisions in the history of Servol: the decentralization of our programs for adolescents. When we realized that the funding for the high-tech centers was coming to an end and that we would have to be independent of the bank, we decided to divide the existing adolescent centers into 3 zones: North, Central, and South, each with its own administration and each having a high-tech center as its head office, so that from June 2000, the high-tech program was not a separate entity from the Servol programs, but became fully integrated into the organization. This put to rest the fear that perhaps it might be viewed as an elite program accessible only to a privileged few. For this, special credit is due to the staff who cooperated magnificently in weaving this complex project into the Servol fabric. It now takes its place as a culmination of all Servol is trying to do through its parent outreach program, its early childhood program, its junior life center program, its adolescent programs, which is, as we indicated at the beginning of this presentation, to throw open the shutters and rip out the bars of the prison cell of poverty and to allow our people to reach for the stars.